Had it been a tsunami from this one this way, it would have been just unbelievable what could have happened. And because of where this earthquake is centered, it's centered on land. It's not in the water, and it was a strike-slip event. And strike-slip events can generate tsunamis, but normally the tsunamis generated by strike-slip is not near as destructive if it's a thrust fault. And so this is strike-slip, the same as what the earthquakes are in the San Andreas Fault. And so that, even if it had been tsunami, it would have been less severe if there had been one. But as far as we know, there was no wave activity, not at all, from the earthquake. And I guess if you look at it, I can't think of an earthquake being in an area where so many people are so poor, so much poverty, with so little to live off, and with just about the whole country, the buildings are just about non-existent as far as being built to resist anything like this earthquake. No, they have never, I don't think they ever thought about any building codes, to tell you the truth. And so it wouldn't take so much shaking from an earthquake of a magnitude 7 shaking to bring down everything, because there's no reinforcement. And so that's one of the reasons why the buildings just crumbled. They just were so poorly built. And from what I can understand, I don't know, watching a lot of reports, the building continued to fall after the shaking had quit. And now you can say aftershocks, yeah, but the biggest aftershock right after the earthquake was a magnitude 5.9, and that's not very big, for other places, but for a place like that, it's big. And even if the shaking had continued from the main shock with this 5.9, I don't think you would have found that many buildings continuing to collapse. My feelings were that these buildings were so weak, they just kept falling until they all got down, even after the shaking had quit. I've heard estimates, but to tell you the truth, at first they were coming out, and they were kept trying to say 300,000. I don't think it is that many. I think when all is done, as far as they can count and get to it, I would not be a surprise if it's about 150,000 people. 150. That's what now. I would hesitate to say that, because there are places in the world where we can get, it may not be as deadly, but if you look in Indonesia, since 2004, we have had nothing but large earthquakes. We've had a lot of major earthquakes, we've had a lot of strong earthquakes, and the magnitude 6 range of earthquakes in that whole area has been very, very frequent. And then there are other places in the world where, especially in Iran, have big earthquakes, and Iran earthquakes are very shallow. And so even they cannot even, it wouldn't have to be a major earthquake, it wouldn't have to be a 7. They got to get something in many parts of there that it's approaching a 7 would be very deadly as far as lives are concerned, because they all are shallow. Now this earthquake is shallow. It's shallow. I say very shallow, because it's 13 kilometers, about 13 kilometers. That's shallow. And so that's another reason for it being so damaging to bring down all the buildings, because they're right up at the surface. The shaking was very intense, even though it might not have been that long, but it was very intense for a short time, and it just brought down everything. But when you're talking about the world for big earthquakes, this is a 7. It's not a great earthquake. That's a major. So I think it has been good, to be honest with you. I think when you look at it, and I mean, admittedly, there has been a lot of complaints, but you got to look at the island and look at the structures there, look at the roads and everything, and look at the gasoline. I understand it's not even gasoline available to move around once you're on the island. Now maybe it could have been a better thing of getting gasoline in there than it was, but I'm just not sure. When I look at the overall picture of what they have done and what they're doing, I think with the enormity of the situation, I think they've done a pretty good job. You got to remember that when you got something of this magnitude and this many people affected, it is so hard to coordinate. And then everybody's not cooperating. Well, the Haitian people themselves, they're not cooperating. And so I think the response has been pretty good. I think it's been a logistic thing to move around on the island. The USGS National Earthquake Information Center now, they have the shake map. And the shake map, up until they had the shake map, the emergency people would go to the epicenter to start their response. But with the shake map showed them where the greatest amount of shaking is, and you'd go there instead of going to the epicenter, so that saves some time. And so I think that they would have a handle on that, and then they have all these shake maps and whether they would look at where the bridges and all of the infrastructure like that is and whatnot, and they would be able to respond to those very, very quickly because of the technology that has been developed since we've had a big destructive earthquake in the United States. I think they're very well prepared. Well, the first thing, if you had an earthquake, the first thing to do is to try to remain calm as possible. And of course, the hardest thing to do for people when an earthquake is occur is to not run outside. Now, people say, well, I run outside, the building will collapse, and I won't be in there. But by the same token, running outside, you could be killed trying to get out as well. And an earthquake in the United States, when I speak of the United States, our structures are so much better. A lot of our structures would be damaged, but a lot of our structures are not going to collapse. And that's what really killed people when the buildings collapsed. That's really what killed people. And with all of the education that is being given by FEMA and other organizations to the people in the areas where we know that they can have a destructive earthquake, I think they would be much better prepared.